limits. I mean, I put myself through overreaching cycles probably 4 or 5 or 6 times a year just to kind of see, you know, where my thresholds are. Have they changed? Are they higher? Are they lower? Whatever the case may be.
Okay.
Does that
Sounds
sound
good.
good?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds.
So, so what I want to do now. So let's talk a little bit about. So you were actually you were one of the first clients that reached out to me. So you were one of my very first clients. So you will always have kind of a special place in my heart in that regard. But I'm curious. So when you reached out to me, Shannon, like what was your primary goal?
Well, primarily, I mean, I think I mentioned to you that I had been a runner for 10 plus years, marathon training, and that I was a sub 3 hour marathoner, so it was like there were training programs I was running like almost 100 miles a week. Like it was just like lots and lots of running. And I think just after years and years of that, I was kind of looking for something different. And I'd always weight trained on my own and that kind of thing. But I kind of wanted to focus a little more attention on that and maybe less attention on the running aspect of training.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got to where I had kind of plateaued. I wasn't really like seeing any more strength gains or anything. I was kind of felt like I was going to the gym every day doing the same thing over and over again. And obviously I wasn't getting anywhere, and I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. And it was just kind of like I knew I needed something more, but I wasn't quite sure. My knowledge level was like only to here, and I needed like what would get me to the next place that I wanted to be. I mentioned, Steven, my boyfriend, he's a tasty trader.
Mm-hmm.
So I had watched you and your shows frequently, and I knew you were into bodybuilding and all that kind of stuff. And just one day he was like, "Hey, Dr. Jim's taking clients, and filled out your little questionnaire and everything." And you emailed me back. So one of the things that really kind of drew me to you as a trainer is, I see trainers in the gym all the time, and not to downplay anything that they do or anything, but there's a lot of trainers that you look at and you're either how they're like directing their clients or even just maybe their own outward appearance. You just look at them and you're like, I would never want to go to you for like fitness advice. Like you're not somebody that I would like to get what I was looking for. I just didn't really see anybody sort of at my gym that I was kind of interested in training with.
Okay.
But, like, kind of seeing you and knowing how you had been before and kind of going through your own transformation and that, just kind of seeing like this is somebody who knows what they're doing.
Oh, cool.
They know how to build a program. They know how to like. I was looking to where I wanted to like actually make significant changes. I wanted to train hard and I wanted to look like I trained hard.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously like you're a good example of somebody that had actually done that. You had figured out like what you needed to do to train, and I could have probably read up on it, studied it and tried to figure all these things out on my own, but then it was like, okay, well, if you have that knowledge base, so I can just go to you and I can learn in, weeks what would probably take me a lot longer to learn. So I think that was kind of what made me sort of initially email you in the first place.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's all really cool. So, awesome. So when you came to me, I remember all this really well. So when you came to me, what was the one was there a certain area that you wanted to focus on?
I had told you I wanted to increase my leg strength because for me that was always I've fairly good upper body strength in general for a female, and that was always one place that I felt like I wanted to improve in, that I was kind of lacking in. Like I just always felt like my squats were always sort of like the weakest part of my training program when I would go into weight training. So that was definitely a place that I wanted to kind of get some increases and actually see some strength increase.
Okay. So, and, in kind of watching me on my shows and getting to know me even just from afar, it doesn't take long for someone to figure out that I love me some squats. So this was going to be just a real natural fit. So when we started off your program, I said, hey, we're going to focus on the squat. We're going to focus on boosting your squat strength. So now this is what I'm like most excited to share with everybody out there, because this is really cool. Because first of all, you're obviously a female. And, most females and the females I work with, females I've talked with, whatever, they're usually focused on, just losing weight, just losing fat. And that's generally where most females want to go. and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But with you, I was so excited because I'm like, wow, here's a woman who she wants to get muscular, she wants to get strong. This is gonna be so cool. So, if you don't mind, what were your squat numbers before we started working together? So what were
I
you
had to go
working
back.
with?
I had to go back and look at what I told you. But I was mainly doing around like 95 pounds, and I could do about 10 reps at 95 pounds.
Okay.
So a lot of times I would go in and I'd do like my 10 reps at 95, and then I'd like, if I was feeling ambitious, I'd throw on like another 10, and I could maybe get 8, and then
Right.
I would try maybe another 10, and I could maybe get 6. Like
Okay.
it was, every time I added weight, it was just like a gradual decrease, and that was
Right.
pretty much what I did every time I went in there, was like tried to add weight that way. But I really wasn't, like, there wasn't a time I went in and I added that 10 more pounds and I got like 2 extra reps. It was
Right.
always like I always saw like the gradual decrease the more weight that I added. So
Okay. So that's all. And 95 for 10. I mean that's good. I mean
yeah.
that's really good. You know. So now, do you remember on the final day? Because we're in our second cycle together now, right? But the final day of your first cycle, do you remember? This was your test day, right? We wanted to see this was the best you could do. We wanted to see what you could do that day. Do you remember what you did that day for your squat?
I think it was 130, and I think I did 10 reps, I want to say.
Okay, how many? But you did four. I think you did 4 sets.
4 sets. So
What
like
what were all 4 sets? Because this is unbelievable.
my first one, I believe, was 120, and you had me do 4 reps. And then I went up to 130, and I did 4. And I remember I wasn't feeling that great that day, just from other outside factors. So I took it back down to 125, and I did 4 at 125. And then I was like, you know what, this is it. Like, this is our last session together. Like, I needed to really like focus and push it. So went back up to 130, and I think I did 10.
I think you did do 10. It was an AMRAP set, and you got 10.
Right.
And you texted. It was so funny because you texted me when you were done, and you were like, "Hey, you're gonna be disappointed. It just wasn't there today. Blah blah," which happens, right? But then I was like, "Well, it's okay." I was like, "Well, what did you do?" And then you told me what you did, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Shannon! Like that's unbelievable." Like when you think about where you came, right? I mean, you're doing sets of 95 for 10s, and then you do 120, 130, 125, and then on your very last set, after doing all that additional work, you get 130 for 10. I mean, that is just a testament. It's a testament to you and your work ethic and the consistency that you put in the whole way through. I mean, just really, really cool stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's amazing in and of itself. But the other thing about working with you and what we've been able to do that I think is really fascinating with you is with your nutrition. So your nutrition was not a primary goal of yours, but I told you at the beginning, I said, well, if you're up for it, let's try to improve your metabolism. Let's try to maximize your metabolism. Let's see how far we can get, all that kind of stuff. So you've been tracking your macros every single day. And I am not afraid to say, of the people that I've worked with, of my clients, you are the most conscientious of all of them. It's unbelievable, by the way. I'm shocked. But do you remember what your body weight was when you started? So this was like, I guess about 5 months ago now. And where your calories and carbs were then, and then your body weight today, calories and carbs today.
I think it was hanging around 124, 125.
Okay, so
I can look.
It was about 125, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. And I looked up, I was at 275 for the carbs. Like,
275 carbs.
Okay. First time you do.
Okay. Now, before we started this little interview, we talked about your nutrition a little bit about what's going on now. So right now, like today, where is your body weight and where are your carbs at?
This morning I was at 126, and
so basically no change.
No change, and the carbs are at 355.
355. I mean that's crazy. They're not gonna believe. Like I told you I wanted to do this, right? And I could have done a video myself and been like, hey, I'm working with Shannon. She's great. She's this, she's that. I'm like, but if I say this to people, the squats and the carbs, nobody's gonna believe me. But now I'm like, coming from you, this is the real deal. I mean, it's amazing what you've been able to do. It's just you've worked so hard, you're so consistent, and now you're just in a position where your metabolism is primed, it's ready. If you ever wanted to cut, you'd be in such a good shape. And just from a life standpoint, I mean, it's fun eating 355 carbs a day, isn't it, Shannon?
Yep.
I mean, it's super fun, man. Who wouldn't want to do that? I mean, that's way more than I eat. So, by the way, when I email you each week, I'm kind of like grumbling underneath my breath. But
There's been a few nights of grumbling.
but oh my gosh, man, it's just so cool, and it's fun now because we're doing a second cycle, and now we're doing a hypertrophy type thing, and so it's a little different focus, and we're having some fun with that and making some progress. And so, the one final thing that I wanted to ask you to kind of share with everybody is all throughout the first cycle and even the second cycle, what has your recovery been, and what has your fatigue been like all the way through?
The recovery has been good, really good. I think, I had mentioned to you before, one of the things that I really liked about both cycles so far is that, like, I never really felt so taxed that the next time I had to go in the gym, I've never been like, ugh, like, I don't know if I can lift today. Like, I've
Hmm.
just never felt that way. I've actually had a lot more energy than I had before. Like, I go in and I feel good. I feel strong. The deload weeks definitely help. It
Hmm.
kind of, you can feel like start to get fatigued after a few weeks, and then once we go on the deload week, and then the next week back, it's like right back to
Hmm.
fresh start, and I feel really good. There's never been soreness. There's never been. I mean, we increased my squats last time by what, 40 pounds,
Hmm.
and I never like felt like I couldn't sit down in a chair without like help back up. Like I feel really good. It's been the program's been really good that way. Like I've just never felt too taxed that I wanted to go work out the next day. So
That's so cool, and I wanted to mention that just because I mean people will hear those squat numbers, and that's really impressive what you've been able to do. But people will think, all right, well she's got to be close to injury, she's got to be close to hurting herself, she's got to just be totally smoked all the time, and the reality is it hasn't been like that, and so that's really cool. It's just a testament to your kind of you know, following the program really well and asking great questions, offering up your own feedback, and then just trusting the process, man. It's really
yeah,
cool.
and I think too, sort of, the gradual increases that we do really help with that, and also I think the RPE scale really helps with that, where it's not like you're telling me on some of the exercises, you've given me like a defined weight, but on some of them it's just sort of hit this RPE, so it's like I'm not forced to, if an exercise feels like I need to do it at 40 pounds or whatever, I'm not like tied to a number that you put on there, like you have to
Mhm.
lift like 45 today.
Mhm.
You know, Obviously for the key ones that we're focusing on, the bench press and the squats and all that, there's more of a defined weight. But as far as the ancillary exercises and
Mhm.
that, I think the RPE scale has really helped with that.
Yeah, the RPE scale is, it's I don't want to call it a hidden gem because people who train know what that is, but most of the average population doesn't know what that is. And I
Hmm.
think that most people think that when you go in the gym to make progress, you got to smash weights, you got to kill yourself, all that kind of
Right.
stuff. And the reality is, not really. You got to think more strategically, use things like RPE, which is relative perceived exertion, and just kind of know when to push it, know when to back off, and just all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
man, any other final thoughts you want to add? I mean, you've shared so much. Thank you so much.
No, I think
Okay.
I'm talking.
you thank you so much, man. That's really cool, and I honestly really hope that this inspires a lot of females out there. Whether they want to work with me or not, it doesn't matter. I hope that a lot of females hear what you've been able to do, and two things happen. Number one, they overcome their fear of the squat, and number two, they overcome their fear of the carbohydrate. I really hope that both of those things can happen because I think a lot of specific people in general, but females specifically, would be so much better off.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I definitely know, like, because I've had a few people at the gym ask me, like, what I've been doing, that and that. And I tell them all, like, don't don't lift like they tell girls to lift. Like, you have to lift like a guy lifts. And I'm like, watch how they lift. Like, it's a totally different mentality that I think a lot of women, like you said, they don't have. They want to go in and they want to lift lightweight because they are afraid of bulking up or whatever. And it's like, you're not going to get the changes that you're looking for if you just go in and lift. lightweight. Like, it's just not gonna work. Like, anyway.
That is such a great point. I'm really glad you said it, because you were just telling me the other day that a girl had approached you at the gym and said you were looking really lean and cut. And that's the thing. She didn't say you were looking bulky. She didn't say you were looking huge. She said you were looking lean and cut. And that's what I think most women want to look like. And all on the way, you've been smashing the weights. You've been really, really focusing on heavy weights and training like a guy, as you said. And you're absolutely right. That is the path.
Yeah.
So, hey, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks, Shannon.
All right, Jeff.
So